You were created for something more. Some days you're chasing your dreams. Other days you wonder if you took a wrong turn. Welcome to the Faithfully Empowered podcast. I'm Lisa Landry. Let's trade self-doubt for bold faith and step fully into the life God designed for us. New episodes every Thursday. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Let's live faithfully empowered.
You know that feeling when you look back at your life and realize you've been carrying stories that were never meant to define you? Maybe it was the divorce that left you questioning your worth, the career derailment in your 40s, the empty nest that made you wonder who you are without the constant noise of motherhood, or the diagnosis that changed everything about how you see your body, your future, and your possibilities. We Gen X women have lived through a lot. We've weathered economic crashes, raised kids through social media chaos, watched our parents age, and somehow managed to keep showing up while the world shifted beneath our feet. Today we're talking about the stories that have shaped us and the truth that can finally ground us. I'm Lisa Landry. Welcome back to the Faithfully Empowered podcast. Let's dive in. This month is both Ovarian Cancer Awareness and Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and so teal and gold are my colors. When I was 14 years old, I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. It was a third stage germ cell tumor that was metastasizing into fourth stage, and up until that point the only symptom that I had was headaches. And so I was having seizures one morning, and my dad came in to wake me up for school because I was a freshman in high school and I hadn't gotten up on time. And I remember I was shaking and he was trying to stand me up, and he stood me up and I fell down like immediately. And he was like, "Can you stand?" And I said, "Yes." But I had already fallen, so there was a delay in what was getting to me in my brain. And I remember my little brother saying, "Lisa, you better not be faking because Dad's calling an ambulance." And after that, I don't remember a whole lot. I had exploratory surgery. At one point, I stopped breathing and I was moved from the local hospital where we lived just outside of Philadelphia to St. Christopher's Hospital for Children, which was the pediatric teaching hospital for Temple University at the time. And after they did the surgery, I had to have treatment and then just go back to school. And it was really a whirlwind because I was diagnosed in February of 1990, had 4 cycles of experimental treatment, and then another surgery in that July, and back to school in September. And so it was a hard time. When I went back to school, Sinead O'Connor was the person that everybody was talking about. And when I ditched the wig, they were like, "Oh, you're a Sinead O'Connor fan." No, I'm not a Sinead O'Connor fan. Who's Sinead O'Connor was my thought at that time. And I kind of hated her because she did that on purpose and mine was not on purpose. I became the woman who explained herself before anyone asked, the one who apologized for being different, who felt broken in rooms full of whole people, who looked at other women's pregnancies and family photos and felt like I was watching life from behind glass. Even as I built a career, found love, discovered purpose, there was always this voice whispering, "You're the damaged one, always behind." And women, the first thing that we do when we meet each other, not me, but most other women, ask, "So how many kids do you have? Or do you have kids? Or when are you going to have kids?" And that broke my heart every time. I wasn't going to have kids. Maybe your story isn't medical. Maybe it's the marriage that imploded when you thought you were safe, the job you lost at 52 when starting over felt impossible, the addiction that stole years, the family trauma that you're still untangling in therapy. But here's what I've learned, and what I wish I could go back and tell my 30-something self who is still carrying that story like a scarlet letter. Those experiences shaped me, but they don't define me. The world will try to summarize you by your hardest chapter, but God, He's been writing a much longer story. One where you're not the victim or the cautionary tale or the one who overcame against all odds. You're just His, fully known, completely loved, a work in progress. Listen to how He talks to you. I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. That's Isaiah 43:1. Not that you were mine before things got complicated. You are mine, present tense. Right now, in the mess, in the healing, in the figuring it out phase. Maybe you're in the car right now, running errands between caring for aging parents and launching young adults. Maybe you're walking the dog before another day of a job that pays the bills but doesn't feed your soul. Maybe you're lying in bed at 2 a.m. wondering how you got here and where you can go next. Can I tell you something that my 14-year-old self really needed to hear? You are not your circumstances, you are not your failures, and you are not your limitations. You're not the divorce, you are not the diagnosis, you are not the financial struggle, you are not the family dysfunction, you are not the dreams that didn't pan out the way you thought they would. You've been shaped by these things, absolutely. They've taught you resilience you didn't know you had. They've given you compassion for other people's pain. They've stripped away illusions and shown you what really matters. But they have not disqualified you from this life that God has for you. You're not too late, too damaged, too tired, or too set in your ways to step into something new. Your story is still being written. So here's what I want you to sit with this week. What story have I been letting define me, and what truth do I need to come back to? Maybe journal about it, talk it through with a trusted friend, bring it to God in prayer. Because here's what I've discovered in this season of my life. We don't have to pretend our hard stories didn't happen. We just need to let them take their rightful place as chapters that informed us, not sentences that condemned us. You are more than what happened to you. You are more than what didn't happen for you. You are more than the roles you've played or the mistakes you've made. You are the daughter of the High King. And that identity, that truth, doesn't expire. It doesn't get revoked because life got messy. It doesn't diminish because you're in a season of transition. If anything, this in-between space, this place where you're figuring out who you are outside of all the labels and expectations, this might be exactly where God wants to remind you who you've always been. Thanks for joining me today. If this resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with another woman who needs to hear it. And if you're looking for community as you navigate this season of transition, you can find more resources at faithfullyempowered.com. Until next time, remember, your story is still being written, and the author thinks you're pretty amazing.
Thanks for spending time with me today. If this episode encouraged you, I'd love to hear from you. Share it with a friend, leave a comment, or let me know where you're tuning in from. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you'll never miss what's next. Until next time, stay rooted, stay expectant, and live faithfully empowered.